Accelerating change in the water, wastewater, and waste sector is the theme for this year's annual Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association. Today we're going to be talking about the CWWA, a brief history, and the expo and conference that is coming up in October. The Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association is a regional non-governmental organization established by an Act of Parliament in Trinidad and Tobago in 1991. The 32nd Annual CWWA Conference and Expo is slated for October 23rd to 27 in our beautiful country, Guyana, at the Marriott Hotel. Last year, Minister of Housing and Water, the Honorable Collin D Croal, represented Guyana in the Bahamas. And it's always a pleasure to have Minister on our feature. So, Minister, thank you once again for taking the time out to having a little chit-chat with us on the CWWA.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on your program, and you know, I know you like to do things a bit different in terms of your presentation, and so it's timely that we're having this update. And you know, a lot of persons have been asking what's the latest on our conference. So quite rightly, as you've said, this is the 32nd conference, annual conference, and that is for the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association exhibition and seminar. So it's going to be held here, right here in Guyana, from October 23rd to 27th, right at the Guyana Marriott. We have won the rights from last year, and so Guyana was placed highly and recommended for be the host country this year. I took a cabinet paper, and quite immediately my president agreed and the cabinet agreed on us to be able to host this conference. So this will be a big conference, a major conference. As I said, it's normally done annually, and there are two aspects of it.
Okay.
As if you examine what CWWA stands for. So we're talking about the water and wastewater. So the 23rd is basically for the opening and to start the process. The 24th and the 25th, that is we'll be focusing on the water and water sector, and that as the host minister, I'll be chairing most of those programs, along with the CWWA Association. And then we have on the 26th and 27th, that will be hosted by the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, because wastewater for Guyana falls under that ministry. So that is why you may have that split.
A lot of persons don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. So wastewater. So well, it's not just wastewater, it's waste and wastewater. So wastewater falls under us, as in GWI. But then if you're talking about waste, then you have to go there. So it's some cross, you have some cross in terms of responsibilities. Now, this is going to be a very big exhibition and seminar. In fact, the forum that I'll be hosting is the 19th high-level forum, and that is for Caribbean ministers who have responsibilities for this sector, both water and wastewater. Now, we are doing this under, as you said, under the theme of accelerating climate-ready nations to accelerate a climate-ready Caribbean.
Okay.
Now, we have extended already through the association invitation to all the responsible ministers throughout the Caribbean. So we have over 30 invitations that have gone out to ministers and utility heads. The highlight of that duration at the end of the 2 days, we're expected to sign a declaration, and that is the Georgetown Declaration. Now, this Georgetown Declaration is a commitment, a ministerial commitment across the Caribbean, respective Caribbeans ministries responsible portfolios for this sector. And we will be signing on in terms of our preparedness in light of climate change, in light of climate disasters. And so we are looking at how prepared are we for the water sector, because the dynamics are changing. For example, Guyana. For the rest of the year, the weather pattern is predicted to be dry. That will pose some challenges, obviously, in terms of for delivery of water. And so this is something we want to confront. Over 400 delegates are expected to attend. It's going to be a huge conference. We're going to have, so you have ministers, you have persons who have responsibility for utilities in terms of water, and those countries where you have wastewater fall differently, so be it. And then you also have agencies, funding agencies, because we are not able, the reality in the Caribbean, we are not able to do this as quickly or address all the needs just by governmental funds or the budget that is provided. But so we have the Inter-American Development Bank, the CDB. CDB is also involved in terms of water delivery. Here, for example, here in Guyana, you have the Basic Need Trust Fund, the BNTF. Some of our projects and wells are done through BNTF, so they have they're a stakeholder. And then you also have UNEP that will be invited to be part of this activity. Now, I said to you seminar too. So the seminar, we have already had over 30 persons signing up, 30 booths that are committed. Mm-hmm. There are more to come on stream, and that is why we want to expose this conference too. And we have the local agencies or organizations that are involved in this sector. So, for example, if you're talking about disaster preparedness, and so you have Civil Defense Commission, so they're part of they're participating. Guyana Water Inc., agents responsible for water delivery for us. The Hydrometeorological Office, they have a role to play through Ministry of Agriculture, and as I said, the agency ministry and GWI. We also have private sector involvement. We have a number of private sector persons who have come on board and they purchase booths to participate, and this is going to have an international flair, and we're very selective in terms of the approval for the participation, because it's a targeted focus or a focus exhibition and seminar or annual conference. And so we already have a number of companies that are on board. We have, and another aspect, and this is a serious aspect too, a number of presenters. You have over 70 presentations that have been reviewed and approved for presentation throughout the course of the exhibition and seminar. So the topics will be the schedule of the topics will obviously be published ahead. But these are interesting topics, not just Guyana presentation. We talk across the Caribbean and even further field of research that has been done in this sector, and where persons want to present their paper. We have had cases where research papers have gone on to be part of informed decision making. A lot of persons, because in their respective countries, research papers have been able to advance for funding to lending agencies because of the work that has been done. And so the 26th and 27th will be led by the Minister of Local Government, and they'll be focusing in terms of the economy, the analysis of imports and exports of plastic and other waste in the Caribbean. So that will have another focus in that regard. And so overall, that is what we have envisaged for this annual conference. Government of Guyana is pleased to be participating. The Government of Guyana is pleased to be hosting the entire Caribbean in terms of this conference. And so certainly we look forward to showcasing what we are doing. This week alone, there was a focus on the hinterland. And so that is one segment of our population. So we are investing a lot in ensuring that far and wide, where everyone has access to water. What we also want to showcase in terms of for this conference is the wastewater, in terms of wastewater or plan for wastewater, addressing that. And then you also have a huge expenditure in terms of treatment plants. So how are we addressing the backlog, so to speak, of persons not receiving treated water? We are about 55%. By 2025, we want this to be 90% coverage, and it's a lot of investments that will be required to get this done. We have already started that. So what we're doing in this sector will obviously be on showcase for us. The president of the CWWA is obviously also Guyanese, and so we'll be dominating in this conference.
Who are some of the countries that will be participating in this?
All of the Caribbean countries.
All the Caribbean.
All.
How important is this conference and expo for Guyana?
It's absolutely important. It's good for discussion. It's good for advancing and showcasing how we resolving some of the changes that you may have in delivery of water, in addressing waste, in addressing wastewater. And so certainly it's timely, and we as we are evolving as a country. So here in Georgetown, let's use Georgetown for example. We do not have a wastewater treatment plant to address the wastewater here. And so this is another area that we are embarking on as a government. And so certainly there's a lot of learning curve there too, exposure and the networking for persons in the sector, far or wide afield. So certainly we stand to benefit in this regard.
Most definitely, Minister. All right, could you tell us, I want to go back a little bit to your trip last year that you made. How successful was that trip? Because of your trip, I'm assuming that we're having this expo in Guyana.
Well, I participating, representing the government of Guyana, and it was Guyana's turn next. We won the right we've asked to be able to host, and they accepted in terms of us being the host. But it was a very successful trip. But it allowed us to interact. It allowed us to learn what is happening in terms of our neighboring countries or fellow Caribbean countries. We also had Guyanese who presented papers similarly for like how we have the seminars. A lot of presentations that were done, and they also present. Our technical staff were also able to be exposed to some of the topical issues and the views that are shared in that regard. And at the end of that conference too, we had a declaration, Bahamas Declaration, that all countries signed on to in terms of our commitment to ensuring that across the Caribbean we can address the challenges in this sector.
Persons understand what wastewater is, but could you tell them a little bit about the waste sector, because that's part of the theme for this year,
Sure.
CWWA.
So you have the normal solid waste, which falls on here again. It falls on the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. So solid waste that is addressed, for example, the landfill site, and we do not have a full recycling program per se. We don't have necessarily a program whereby you can see us addressing in terms of the plastic and so forth. So that's an avenue for opening. And then wastewater itself. For us, for example, we have an area in Kingston that is normally disposed of. So this is an avenue for us. We're investing in a pilot plant for the treatment of wastewater. It's not anything new. We have companies who do that within their own corporate responsibility for their companies. So is not let out into other mainstream. But governmentally is not an area that we have addressed, and we're planning to address that. So we are looking for the first pilot to start for Georgetown.
Is there anything you care to share with our viewers before we go, Minister? And of course, after this interview, as we roll down to the time for the conference and expo, we'll be doing some follow-up as well. But would you like to share anything else with our viewers before we go?
Sure. So the next update, we'll do that at the Marriott to show you what we're progressing with. I want to ask the viewers to keep abreast as to what is happening. Of course, when the conference starts, we'll have an opportunity to showcase for locals here to see, and to persons who are in the sector here bidding for contracts, persons who are tendering, persons who are involved in the wastewater. They can be having an opportunity to be exposed and meeting different players in the sector. So it is a big conference, and we're expecting a lot out of it. This is not the usual talk shop, but it's certainly an avenue for us to, as a Caribbean people, to sit and discuss our challenges, even share our successes, so that persons can, if they can incorporate it as part of their work program. And so as the host minister, I'll be proud to be leading that process.
And of course, persons who want to get on board with the exhibition can always go to the Facebook page, which is the CWWA, and also sign up online to get registered and know more about the packages. And I know persons, when they tend to have an expo, all persons from whether it's plant shops or what, are going to say, hey, can we take part, Minister? Can they take part?
This is a focus. This is a focus exhibition, all right, an annual conference. So it's very direct and focused.
Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you.
Well, viewers, there you heard it from the Honorable Collin Croal, Minister of Housing and Water, telling you all about the CWWA. This is all for now. This is Samantha saying goodbye and be safe.